Hey, good afternoon everybody. Today I'm going to show you a recipe I've been experimenting with that I finally hit a really good balance on, enough to show you, and I really like it. You can mess around with the base ingredients however you want. It's basically a chicken and fruit curry. Now I'm using Jamaican curry powder because I like the flavor of this. It's very mild and you can put in a lot and it doesn't like overpower you if you're not used to it. And the only other spice in here is some cumin to add another, type of flavor to it and sort of make it deeper. You don't need any salt in this. You can put salt if you want, right? But kind of defeats the purpose of all that fruit with the potassium in it and the vegetables. So for this, I got a couple of pounds of very ripe peaches. It's that time of year. You can use what you want. A couple onions, 2.5 pounds of ripe tomatoes, and a couple of limes. Now I've got about 2.5 pounds chicken thighs, and the first thing I'm going to do is brown the chicken. Somebody asked me on the last video what kind of Instant Pot I've got. I've got an IP Duo 8-quart. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start the saute here. And I don't need any fat for this because the chicken thighs are pretty good, and just pop them in the bottom. I use a glove, it's just so much easier. Yeah, I got like 10 or 11 or something. It's basically just enough to coat the bottom of the pan nicely. In shopping terms, it's a half of one of those like really big things. Now for the onions, I just section these rough, and I've tried both ways, sauteing them and not. And honestly, for the extra step, I didn't notice an appreciable increase in flavor. Now you're going to see a lot of recipes say that you must blanch the tomatoes. Well, the way I cook, you don't must do anything. I do take the ends off, so if you want to preserve as much as possible, and I get these at a farmer's market, so they're really, really fresh. And I just cut out the ends. There's not too many seeds. If there's any bad bits on the outside, I just kind of nick them off. And again, just rough sections for these. This is going to mush up and make the most amazing sauce, so don't waste a lot of time chopping for this. Now I can start to smell the chicken. So let's move the camera over and take a look. Just get some tongs and sort of turn them over. I've got a default of the 10 minutes on here, so if it turns off, just spark it up again and do the other side. That just turned off, so I'm gonna turn it back on. These peaches I bought, they were a little underripe, and I've been letting them just sit on the counter. If you're going to do that, wash them first, because they can get really, really soft. And you don't want to be washing soft fruit, because it can just come apart in your hand. These might even need to get sectioned a little bit more to get the stone out. There. Yeah, just twist them like that if you're not used to working with peaches. And again, instead of cutting these up anyway, so pulling it apart in half to access the stone is the easiest way to do it. Now this one, I see a little bad bit on the side, so I'll just cut that off right to start. If there are any bits that are overripe, cut them out. Okay, they will not make it taste better. It'll give it a sort of dusky off flavor that's not really good. So prep is nearly done. I'm only going to add the lemon juice at the end, right before I put the lid on, and I'll just stir it up a bit. There are a couple of stuck on bits. Now this dish, because of the fruit content, is going to make a lot of sauce, but I still want to take a cup of water right now to kind of deglaze the bottom a bit, to make sure there is water on the bottom before the process starts, so it doesn't stick and burn, which is always a good idea with anything you're making in here. Now the fat, I do want to leave in here, A, because it tastes amazing, and there's not that much, right? And also the spices need fat to dissolve in and develop their flavor. If you don't have any fat at all, it's going to taste off, alright? So next I'll just pop all this lovely fruits and vegetables in here. Oh, and I didn't pour any on the counter. That's a new one. Yeah, I think I'm gonna need the big spatula for this. Okay, once you got that mixed up a little bit, then you're gonna get your spices in there. This is to taste, just visual. I got huge, I used 3 heaping cereal spoons of the Jamaican curry powder, which is probably 1/3 of a cup, I'm guessing, 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup. There's 1, 2. Now, if you're using a different kind of curry powder, you might want to dial this down a little bit. But again, this is so to taste, right? Very important here, stir that up. Do not let it sit on the top. You won't get all the flavors, and we'll have this kind of like chunky, streaky taste at the end. And yes, I have made this like 3 or 4 times. It keeps in the fridge like you wouldn't believe. It makes amazing lunches. You just put some rice in the bottom of a container and scoop some of this joy on top of it there, and you're ready for the microwave at work. And as you can see, it makes like a lot of food too, which is awesome. And it's not actually that expensive when you consider how many people you can feed or how many meals you can make with this. The lime juice. Okay, now depending on your palate and your preferences, some people like to put all of this in at the beginning, some people like to put it only after it's cooked, some people do a half and half. Just for ease of preparation, I'm just going to put it all in now. And if you really love sour, you could get your hands on some like tamarind date sauce, which is just awesome with this, or put some tamarind in. And barring that, a couple of tablespoons of vinegar and lemon juice would do just as well, because you do want to have that whole sweet, sour, spicy thing happening with this dish. Oh, you can start to smell it already. That's just awesome. Anyway, so put the lid on. Always make sure your vents are cleared before you put the lid on. Do a visual inspection. Pop this on. Poultry setting. 10 minutes. Believe it or not, yes, 10 minutes. So the timer just went off. Now, if you can't stand the smell anymore, because it just smells amazing, you can do a fast release and just eat it. However, considering you're probably going to be having this over several meals, because it's a stew, because curries are stews, the longer you let the flavor develop, the better it's going to taste. So I'm just going to do like a slow release, and I will just let it come, the pressure come down until the button drops, and then I'll open it up. So the button has dropped, and it's just as well because I was ready to tear the lid off. Let's see what we got. Oh my. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And I only put in 1 cup of water. And you can see how nice, saucy that is. I'm definitely going to let that cool down a bit. I'm going to put some in a dish so you can see it. Okay, so I got some in a bowl to see. Now, that's still kind of runny because it's still boiling hot. You do want to serve this with something. Mashed potatoes would be good. Rice is just perfect with this, or any other kind of good starch that will soak up all that juice. Anyway, so there's my Instant Pot chicken and fruit curry. Thanks for watching. Hope you try this, and see you again.